समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. Okay, so today we do verse 14, and before we start this verse, the last verse that we did, the 13th verse, though it doesn't say in the verse, but see, the thing is that what Gurudev writes in his commentary, he says that when death does take place, see, he's talking about the gunas. So he says, when death does take place, so the most important or the most consistent thought that has been there throughout your life is the one that will gain predominance at that time. And it is said in our scriptures that the last thought determines the direction that the subtle body takes, the mind and intellect takes to choose the next body, because those will be your sincerest desires. Like, there is a this thing, most of the people do this, that, oh, this is the very easy, at the time of death we will remember God, so we'll go directly to the God, and in our whole life we can keep doing all wrong and right things, whatever, it doesn't matter. But that's not right, that's not true, it doesn't happen like this, because the mind gets habituated to a certain kind of thought, whether it is a tamasic thought, rajasic thoughts, or you entertain sattvic thoughts. So whichever ones you entertain the most, the kind of thoughts that you have pursued through your life, that will come up suddenly at the time of death. Now that will determine the direction which the subtle body takes. Okay, and then that is also where so you should be very, very alert about your thoughts. Gurudev used to say, don't treat your thoughts lightly. That many people say, na, hum soch hi to rahe hain, kar thodi rahe hain. We are only thinking it, how does it matter? No, it does matter because thoughts are the ones that lead to actions. And when you repeatedly do the same kind of thoughts and same kind of actions you have, then they become firm lines in your mind. So when you leave the gross body, when the subtle body leaves the gross body at the time of death, that very thought which you are habituated to, you will come up at the time of death, and that will determine your next birth. So that kind of thing is very, very important. And think about it, that your subtle body, that is the mind and intellect, is nothing but a bundle of thoughts, and that thoughts bundle keeps on changing form. But those thoughts, or the clux of thoughts that is predominant in your mind, always repeats itself. The mind has a habit of repeating itself. So many times the same thought, the same memory, doesn't it again and again cross your mind? Somebody who has been unfair to you, somebody who has insulted you, somebody who's been mean to you, the thought keeps on coming back, coming back, coming back, isn't it? So it keeps on making a very, very firm scratch on your mental level, and that thought will come back. Now, nobody really knows what happens after death, because nobody has come back to tell us. And many religions have also tried to imagine worlds different than ours, where you will go to after death. But uh, Hindu philosophy, even all the religions that have come out of Hinduism, they all believe that it is a logical development, that whatever you have been, you will continue being in future. That stands to logic. Like supposing, see, an engineer won't all of a sudden be posted to a hospital where he has to perform a heart operation. he'll be a total failure. He cannot. Neither does he desire to do it. So also, a doctor cannot be posted to a hydro project or any kind of other such place where technicality is required. He cannot. He can't handle engines. He can't handle electrical equipment, because that is, his mind is not trained to do that. So whatever your mind, the kind of training you give to your mind all your life, the same thought, same thought, same thought, is the one that will determine the direction of your next birth. Now, having said that, you know, you must cultivate throughout your life noble thoughts, pious thoughts. If you cultivate good thoughts, and if you cultivate selfless service, then the mind and intellect equipment, which will be a disembodied equipment, it will move in that direction straight away, and it will, after releasing, after it's released from the body, it will go to that kind of body. Now, so here, now come to this one. It is here, yada, this is verse 14. Yada sattve pravriddhe tu pralayam yati deha bhrit tadottama vidam lokan amalan pratipadyate. If the embodied one meets death when sattva is predominant, then he attains to the spotless worlds of the knowers of the highest. Now, when sattva is predominant, see, when you leave the body, when sattva is predominant, you must have heard stories like that my grandmother got up in the morning. She was used to doing puja part every day. Simple lady. She got up in the morning, had a bath, did her puja, everything, or did wo tulsi mein diya jalaya, ye wo, all that she did. And then she said, "Now I'm going," and sat down in her puja room and passed away. You've heard these kind of stories, na? Time and again you have heard. Some people who meditate a lot and they pass away during meditation. It happened to my own uncle, and he was a very noble man, and very highly educated, everything, very dutiful, lot of selfless service, and he used to meditate a lot, and sitting in his puja room, and he never came out from there. He was meditating, and when he passed away, his forehead fell on the Geeta that was kept in front. What a death! Think about it. So these are sattvic deaths, but sattvic deaths happen only when through your life you have been very alert about your thoughts. You have not thought badly about things. You have not, you have not been agitated, disturbed, angry. All those things belong to rajas. So when you have a peaceful mind, there is no extrovertedness. There is no anxiety. There is total peace in your mind and quietude, no worries, and no possessiveness of objects. Then you die in sattva. So when sattva is predominant, then what happens, that your thoughts will take you, sattvic thoughts will take you to sattvic worlds. They will take you into a sattvic embodiment. They will make you be born in a sattvic mother's womb. The mother and father have to be sattvic. There has to be worship of the Lord in that house. There has to be purity in that house. There has to be values in that house where you will be born. So then that is the sattvic mind. Okay. So whatever your mind is trained to entertain, those are the thoughts that predominate. And this is what happens to the sattvic person. Uh, th- Thought life has to be watched very carefully. You may not watch your actions so carefully, as you should be alert and careful about your thoughts. This is Gurudev, huh? Not me. He used to always say that thoughts are dangerous. They can ruin your life, they can bring you down the ladder of evolution, or they can lift you up to much nobler ways of living, much more peaceful and joyful ways of living. It is all thoughts. And again, see, the thoughts take the direction, that means they automatically gravitate towards the kind of home, towards the kind of family, towards the kind of mother and father, towards the kind of situations, and towards the kind of body, mind, and intellect that you should have to exhaust the kind of sattvic vasanas that you have been entertaining. So, unless and until your whole life is spent in a sattvic way, you cannot have a sattvic release of the body. That is very, very important. So, you see, this is just a concept that scriptures, the Agama part of the scriptures gives this kind of concept, that in the highest realm there is abundant joy. There is a idea of Brahmalok. Gurudev used to always say that these lokas like heaven and hell and Brahmalok and all are not geographical areas, they are mental experiences, they are fields of mental experience. So there are people, no matter what the situation is, they are always very peaceful, they are very joyful, there is a sattva floating around them, and they are always in a very, very uh, quiet, peaceful, joyful mood. That is what is Brahmalok. Where else is Brahmalok? It's not some place. Hmm. Okay, so okay, now come to the next verse. Rajase pralayam gatva karma sangishu jayate tatha pralinantamase mudhayonishu jayate. Meeting death in Rajas. Now he's told you about Sattva. Now meeting death in Rajas, what happens to these people? Okay, he is born among those attached to action. See, each man will seek his own world. Even in this life, the same thing he does. They say, na, birds of the same feather flock together. You automatically go towards the person who suits your temperament. You automatically go towards the kind of situations in life and the world which are needed for the exhaustion of your vasanas. Right? So then here he says that Rajasic people, he is born among those attached to action. See, where a Rajasic person gets born? He gets born in a family that is fully attached to activity and action. And what kind of action? Ye dekho. The kind of action that they have is uh, acquiring, possessing, getting more and more. The people have greed to acquire more and more. They are never satisfied with whatever they have. So there is always agitation. Then agitation causes activity, and activity causes tussle with other people, snatching, snatching other people's property, snatching other people's wives, snatching other people's inheritance. Now, this kind of thing is with Rajas. When the Rajas is predominant in you, but then Rajas always will give you a kind of, Rajas will always give you pain. रजस जो है ना वो बहुत ज्यादा आपको काम कर्म में घुसाता है, and it will also give you pain. Like, say, Gurudev gives the example of a rich man's son, and he says he is born with everything. Like you say, born with a silver spoon. Okay, they are probably, some are born with a golden spoon. Now, when it is like that, then they do not have the urge or the hunger to act more. When they don't have that, then they become idle. They don't want to do anything, and they just don't want to expand their business or work hard for it and all that. Wherever they see a problem, they withdraw from that. Wherever they see a problem, they withdraw from that. So then really, what is it? Eat well, sleep, eat, sleep. And invariably that leads to a careless kind of unhealthy life. And the young man, destroys not only his parents' business, but he also destroys the family. So that becomes the pattern of a, from rajas he comes down to tamas, whereas rajas always is agitating. Mm, and action oriented. There are some people who just can't sit, and you know that, whereas now the next line of this is that, and dying in tamas, he is born in the womb of the senseless. So dying in tamas means what? Dying of alcohol, too much of drink, too much of drug, or dying when you are totally in deep sleep or something. This is dying in tamas. So generally then you may go into wombs that are tamasic wombs, which do not, their mind is not fully operative. That is an animal mind. Okay, so people who die in a tamasic atmosphere, and in a tamasic way, eating tamasic food, that is, non-vegetarian food comes under tamasic, alcohol comes under tamasic. So haven't you heard of people who've gone to a late night party and had a lot of drinks and a lot of non-vegetarian food, and they come home and have a heart attack and die? That is tamasic death, right? So their thoughts are tamasic. Okay, thoughts are tamasic, and so they some of these people are so tamasic that they even look up to animals as having a very great life. They say, see, they don't have to do anything. They just keep lying around all day, sleeping here, sleeping there. Only when they are hungry they get up and have food, and then again go back to sleep. So what a lovely life. Haven't you heard some people say that? Now those are the kind of people that think that getting an animal life would be great. So the Lord gives the animal life to them, because that is what they aspire for, or that is what they want to. So getting into the animal world is a devolution. Don't think that once a human being you will continue to be a human being. You will not. Gurudev used to say that if you just want to eat and sleep, and do not even want to get up and have a bath, then you are born to mother pig. Because what does mother pig do? Never has a bath, just eats and then sleeps in the ditch, eats and sleeps in the ditch, and that is all what she does. So, animal kingdom, and what kind of animal kingdom? If your thoughts, rajasic thoughts, are always snatching from others, and all that, then you become an animal who snatches from here and snatches from there. He even takes the life of others to satisfy his thirst and hunger, isn't it? So that is the philosophy over here. And over here is that one's mind, if one's mind is drowned in extreme tamas, then you go into yonis where you do not require a logical thinking mind. And that is the complete fulfillment of an animal, and you can get that fulfillment only in an animal embodiment. And so they choose that kind of body. See, the kind of body you get is your choice. Gurudev used to say this many times, that from the body of a person you can make out his vasanas. What does he what were must be his desires? See, bright mind and intellect, or will he go into research work, study, teaching, this, that, and all? They will go into that. You know, then I have told you many times, a weightlifter will have a tough body, will have a strong body, and all that. That's a weightlifter or a wrestler, isn't it? A sprinter will have legs uh, of a deer, of an antelope, so that he can race. So it is like that. Haven't you heard, she is a born dancer, she is a born singer? Suna hai na? He is a born gambler. Kyun? Vasanas, whatever I have been your vasanas, you get born into that kind of a family. See, I know a family, their only parties are card parties in which they gamble. Okay. Now, the children that have grown up in that family have seen Their parents, their chachas, their fathers, their grandfathers also only playing cards at night and gambling. Whenever they have free time, they pick up cards and gamble. Now, what does the child learn? Tell me. And why is that child born in that family? Tell me. Obviously, his past desire for that kind of vasanas he has to do those kind of things, and so he gets that kind of mother and father. And from childhood, he learns card games, he learns card tricks, and he starts gambling. And then the parents wonder, कि ये कैसे इसको? How come he is like this? That's how they wonder. अरे भाई, you have taught it to him, and his past vasanas have made him be born into your home, right? Now here, see, कर्मण सुकृतस्याहुः सात्विकं निर्मलं फलं रजसस्तु फलं दुःखम् अज्ञानं तमसः फलम्. The fruit of good action, they say, is sattvic and pure. Verily, the fruit of rajas is pain, and the fruit of tamas is ignorance. So, what does he has told you what the three gunas bring to you? In this verse, he tells you what are the earnings of the different gunas. Hmm? Now, first, the fruit of good action. Okay? They say is sattvic, pure. Now, what is the fruit of good action? See, whatever you think, as they say, na, as you think, so you become. So then, thought generates action. Thought gives birth to action. So, as Gurudev said, mind your thoughts. So, whatever you are thinking, you will think about it once, twice, thrice, and then you will act on it. Definitely, you will act on it. So, be careful about the thought. If it is a wrong thought, discard it immediately. If you are a spiritual seeker, discard that thought immediately. But see, like Gurudev has written, seeds of weeds cannot but produce weeds. So that is what, then don't say that how come that a child in my family has become like this. There must be something in his genes which has come into that kind of family, and all the wrong tendencies multiply, and you are born into a tamasic or a rajasic household. Okay. Now see, he says the fruit of good action, they say, is sattvic. So what is the sattvic fruit? Sattvic fruit is doing service selflessly, lifting your mind to a joyous world of contentment and peace. Okay. And this is when you have contentment, peace, and total satisfaction in your mind, no agitations, that is the sign of a pure mind. He is always cheerful, always laughing, always has a kind word to say, always has a good act to do for somebody. And even all these actions and his attitudes bring joy and peace into his soul. So the fruit of sattva is a peaceful, joyful life, and a life of a purity of mind. Okay. Now, karmana sukratasyahu. Sukrat. Sukrat means good actions, noble actions, and a contented, cheerful life. He is compassionate, he is loving, he is kind, and of course, always joyous. Okay. Now, Satvikam Nirmalam Phalam. Nirmala. Mal is dirt, and Nirmala means a pure, without dirt. Nirmal means without dirt. That means your mind is totally pure. That is the phal of sattvic living and sattvic thoughts. अच्छा, next क्या है? रजसस्तु फलम दुखम. Very clear. The fruit of rajas, as translated here, the fruit of rajas is pain. Acha, what do rajasic people do? Acha, rajasic people, earning, first you earn the money, painful. Keeping the money, painful. Saving the money, painful. Spending the money, painful. Giving it away, oh ho ho, very very painful. Hmm? saving it from thieves and robbers, param dukkham, if they take it away. And a CBI raid on you, param dukkham. So when has money given you joy? It never gives you joy. It is so painful. Yet Gurudev used to say that we are so beautifully Rajoguni that we always see joy in money. And that is why the whole life they keep on running after money, 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 money. They don't even think that it is a thing that can give pain. And it gives a lot of pain to people. And not only pain there, when it gives you mental pain, हाँ, then उसका रिजल्ट क्या होता है फिजिकल बॉडी पे स्ट्रोक ब्लड प्रेशर कोर्ट्स पुलिस स्टेशंस लॉयर्स इनकम टैक्स सीबीआई raids all that happens to people with rajas only है ना it doesn't happen to ordinary people I know somebody जिनके घर में रेड होनी थी वो गलती से किसी और के घर में हो गई so that because the names were the same they were both doctors the first name was the same second name was also the same so those people went to a wrong address अच्छा वहां पे कुछ निकला नहीं द रॉन्ग एड्रेस पर्सन वाज अ फ्रेंड ऑफ आवर्स वो क्या कर रहे थे वो रात को बैठ के क्रिकेट मैच देख रहे थे तो जब व्हेन दीस पीपल केम टू रेड ही सेड आपको मेरे घर में एंड ही यूज्ड टू लिव इन अ डीडीए फ्लैट दे सेड कि आपको मेरे घर में रेड कर आप देख लो ये रही चाबी मुझे तो मैच देखना है आप लोग जब देख चुको तो आके आप भी मैच देखो मैं आपको खाना देता हूँ कॉफी देता हूँ तो दोज पीपल सेड वेरी फनी फेलो तो देन दे सेड फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ही इज इन अ डीडीए फ्लैट इसके पास क्या निकलेगा और दुनिया भर की चीजें देखी उन्होंने खोल-खोल के देयर वाज़ नथिंग। सो दे रैंग अप फ्रॉम देयर दैट सर यहाँ तो कुछ भी नहीं है वो तो करें क्या हम? सो दे सेड ओह हो यू हैव गॉन टू द रॉन्ग एड्रेस। नाउ द रॉन्ग एड्रेस पर्सन also I knew. So that those people we were discussing about this raid thing. So she said to one of my friends तुम्हारे घर में क्या रेट होगी सस्ता सा फर्नीचर साधारण सी गाड़ी तो सो वी हैड अ गुड लाफ बिकॉज दैट वाज हर वे ऑफ शोइंग that unless and until you have stacks and stacks of wealth tucked away illegal wealth tucked away only then there can be a raid in your house anyway तो ये है सो रजोगुण रजोगुण people don't think that they have rajogun so it's a bad thing no they think it's the best thing because they look down on people who do not want to strive for money they think that ये तो बिल्कुल बेकार के लोग हैं इनको they don't know how to live their lives okay so but you know see but Gurudev used to say they will never understand because a drunkard lying in a ditch no matter how much you tell him that you come out and I'll bathe you and put you into a comfortable, clean bed and a clean home, you come out of this drain and you're trying to pull him out. He says, no, yahan to param sukh hai. It's nice and cozy, it's so comfortable because his mind is under that great delusion that this is what sukh is. You cannot explain to a Rajasic or a Tamasic man that he needs to get out of these kind of habits. Okay. Now, uh, हाँ, so then, अच्छा फिर और आगे क्या है? It says the fruit of Rajas is pain. Okay, ये हो गया. And then the fruit of Tamas is ignorance. Ignorance क्या है? देखो ignorance ये है कि when you know ignorance is like this that you are not able to at all understand the correct thing when you do not apprehend what is right then you misapprehend it and most of the time you are under delusion you misunderstand things, you misapprehend things, and basically you see a ghost upon a post. And that is how you live your life being frightened, being afraid to do anything, no activity, no intelligence to do anything, and all that. But what is important is the question that how can one start becoming good when one is already bad. Supposing the bad person even understands that my actions are ignoble, my actions are unjust, my actions, how does he become good? The only remedy is that he has to strive for it. He has to lift himself by himself. That is what the Gita says. And how can that be done? By the right company. That is the importance of satsang. ऐसा कहते हैं कि थोड़ा सा भी सत्संग अगर किसी को मिल जाए करने को तो उसकी लाइफ बदल सकता है. Satsang can change your life because it gives you the logic of why you should be acting nobly. It gives you the logic of living a life of value. It gives you the logic of selfless service and how these values will ultimately ethically purify you and morally uplift you into a noble living. Then they say that no matter how much we try, it doesn't happen. He says you fake it and make it. That is the way. First, you just act it out. Okay, you are not noble, you know, but still do good to people just for the sake of your name. कि हमारा बड़ा नाम होगा कि हम तो बड़े compassionate हैं, हम बड़े दानी हैं, हम बड़े whatever. हाँ. So first you do it only out of selfish reasons, but do good even out of selfish reasons. For selfish reasons, do good. That is easier. Changing thoughts is more difficult, but changing actions that you can act out, even falsely act out, is then it soon becomes a habit. See, whatever you keep doing, believe me, there are people who have faked it only for the fear of the police sometimes. They have to put on a noble act only because the police may think he's a very noble man, he cannot be a criminal. So they act out that and they continuously go on doing noble actions till they actually become noble. Yes, actions, if you continuously repeat a certain act, it becomes a habit. It changes your mind. है ना? और हैबिट फिर जाता नहीं है तो आप परमानेंटली गुड हो जाते हैं. है ना? वो हैबिट का आई थिंक तेजोमेनन जी और हु सेड ना दैट हैबिट इज समथिंग दैट यू हैव इट. ओके, हैबिट इज हैव इट. If you remove the H, then a bit is still left. If you remove the A from it, then a bit is left. If you remove the B, then still it is left. And if you remove the I, then T is still left. And T is the habit. So, I mean, this is of course saying it lightly, but habits are die hard. So, once you keep on repeating a certain action, good action, you lift yourself up. That is the way that it is done. And elders in the family have the responsibility of inculcating these kind of good vasanas, good habits in in children in their family. Initially, the family may reject it. Initially, the children will reject it, and they do not want to be in a tyrannical regime where they have to obey what the elders say. So they revolt. But later in life, because you have already put the seed in, you have already put the seed in. So later in life, they gravitate towards those noble qualities that even their grandparents have taught them. See, I know a girl who used to, every morning, the grandmother used to make her sit in her lap in front of a small little temple, and she used to recite all the shlokas and the arti and make the girl do the arti and all the rest of it. Okay. So this used to happen every day, every day, every day. Now see, the seed has gone in to the child. Now, when this girl grows up, she's like any other very fashionable, very trendy, very modern girl and doesn't believe in religion and all the rest of it. But later on in life, when she tries to analyze the logic of what life is about, what the meaning of true living is, then she goes back to what her grandmother taught and says also that if my grandmother had not taught me this, I would never have come this way. So it is the duty of the elders in the family to insist on culture, to insist on good values, to insist on ethics. A child doesn't come out of the mother's womb doing pranam to elders. It is the elders who have, in the culture of the family, teach them that ये बड़ा आपके घर आया है, इसको प्रणाम करिए, है ना? So that kind of thing. So then, thrilling joy, least mental agitation is the result of the fruits of good actions and the fruit of sattva. hmm. It quietens the mind and it sucks out all kind of agitation, all kind of anxiety from your mental life. And then rajas, of course, is painful. I have told you that they live under very, very agitating circumstances. Their mind goes on generating agitations and worries. They cannot stop worrying. They solve one problem, they'll start worrying about another. They solve another, they'll start worrying about another. So, always anxious to acquire, possess, conserve, hide, and all that. So, उसमें कभी सुख नहीं हो सकता. That is why it says rajasastu phalam dukham. This verse says na rajasastu phalam dukham. Hmm. So the fruit of tamas, dullness, heedlessness, procrastination, actionlessness, being inert. Mm. So all this is, so we've done this plenty times. What are the three different qualities? And under the influence of any of these three qualities, what happens to you and your mind? And how to get out of it also, the Gita has said. Now this verse, Sattvat sanjayate jnanam rajaso lobha eva cha pramada moho tamaso bhavato ajnanam eva cha. It says knowledge arises from sattva, greed from rajas, heedlessness, delusion, and also ignorance arise from tamas. Now, there is nothing much to talk about over here except that we have been doing it, and this is a repeat thing of the same thing. It says that from sattva, knowledge arises. Okay. Now, please understand, see, knowledge by itself is different from wisdom. You may have knowledge, many people have knowledge, but they are not wise people. But here, the sattvic knowledge always creates wisdom because it teaches you discrimination. It teaches you how to discriminate the wrong from the right, the false from the real, and then it gives you the wisdom to choose correctly. ठीक है ना? तो सत्वम संजायते ज्ञानम. So, from sattva arises knowledge, and from knowledge arises wisdom. And naturally, when the mind is pure, the mind is calm, naturally, there is no agitation, then, there is wisdom that emerges from the intellect. Correct decisions are taken, right decisions, and therefore you go in the right direction of pure wisdom. Okay. Now, greed from rajas. Greed from rajas. Now, see, when does rajas arise in a person? When he has too many desires. He is not content. So he goes on desiring. The more the desires, the more intense the desires, the more intense the restlessness of the mind. The mind will be restless, the mind will be agitated, and the mind will be all the time doing a japa. Why doesn't this happen? Why doesn't this take place? Why doesn't my desire get fulfilled? Until it is pacified, you will go on doing it. But that is not the end of story. We have done it many times that desire cannot be pacified. One desire शांत होता है और दूसरा निकल आता है. We have done it many times. Now, heedlessness and delusion arise from tamas. So, the capacity to discriminate is not there in tamasic people. because their minds are deluded. Mind under the influence of drug, he cannot see correctly. He cannot think correctly. He doesn't even hear correctly. The food he eats, he doesn't taste. Can you imagine? So, what happens to all your indriyas of perception? They become dull. When the indriyas of perception, under the influence of either drug or alcohol or sleep or tiredness or laziness or lethargy, any of these things will make you do wrong. So you do not have the capacity or the strength of will to reject the wrong and select the right. Huh? So the first thing that tamas does is destroy your power of correct discrimination. It destroys the discriminatory power, so you cannot judge. Okay. Now देखो, a tamasic man is a tamasic man, a rajasic man is a rajasic man, and a sattvic man is a sattvic man. That is the predominance of the guna in him, so you say. But truly speaking, all three gunas are in everyone. You cannot, unless you go gunatit. And now Gunatit is only he who has no identity with his gross body or his mental body or his Jiva Bhava. There is no Jiva Bhava left in that person because he has merged with the infinite pure consciousness. And only when that happens is the time when he goes beyond the gunas. Otherwise, there is this combination of all the three gunas in each human being. The thing that you have to do over here, that you have to keep going higher and higher and higher in nobility of thoughts, purpose, and action. When you have made up your mind to do that, you will evolve in life and you will climb the ladder of joy, peace, harmony, which is sattva. And once you go into pure sattva with not even a trace of mala or even a little bit of a trace of impurity in your mind, pure sattva cannot last. So when pure sattva also drops, you merge with the infinite, which is total pure, totally pure. It is totally nirmala, right? So this much, and we do just this much here today, and next time we do verse 18. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.